Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the top 5 best cards at each position here in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Help me push towards the 18,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day. Trying to hit 18K by the end of January. It's like 1.5K subs away, so it's going to be a big grind, but would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe if y'all are new to the channel. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. We'll start off with the point guard position, and we're going to start off at number 5, which to me is going to be the new D'Angelo Russell. I think this card is very slept on at the PG position, and I think fully evolved, he is really, really good. Obviously not the easiest card in the world to evolve. 15 steals isn't super easy, but once he's evolved, he's a really good, versatile defender, even without anchor and brick wall, huff clamps, glove, ankle braces, gold challenge, drop-off, has silver interceptor, and pick dodger, which can be upgraded. Playmaking badges are great, shooting badges are great, finishing on this card isn't bad either. He's, in my opinion, while not quite as good defensively as a guy like Jrue Holiday, who was also very much in the running for the top 5, I think offensively he moves better than Jrue. I think his release is just as good. I think his shot creation is better. His offensive stats and badges are just all the way around better. D'Lo is one of the most versatile and one of the best point guards in the game. Can't spend much time on each card in this video since I got to get to 25 different guys, but LaMelo is who I have at number 4. LaMelo is really, really good. Very fast PG who shoots the ball quite well. Good playmaker, D-book dribble style. Defensively, not exceptional. I think he's basically just a slightly worse version of a guy who we're about to see in a second, but I think he's a really, really good all-around card. Great offensively, super solid defensively. One of the better PGs in the game for sure. SGA is who I have at number 3. Very, very good, very complete. When he's fully badged out, that's the most valuable part about SGA is the ability to get every badge, so you can add all the defensive badges like anchor, clamps, shooting badges like Agent 3 and limitless range as well. Obviously could use a shoe as well in certain areas. He's not insanely fast, not an incredible all-around statistical card, but I do believe he is still top 3 point guard in the game because of how complete he is badge-wise. D-Book is my number 2 point guard. Offensively just unmatched. I mean, he might be the best offensive card in the game, at least as a pure 3 hunter. 93 speed, 94 3-ball on D-Book. D-Book push cross is so good. He's an incredible shooter, incredible playmaker, just an incredible all-around card outside of the defensive end of the court, but he holds his own enough defensively as well. Like, I would say he's as good or better defensively as a guy like LaMelo. And then offensively, his fade is really probably the best part about the card. That's the thing I haven't even touched on, but his fade is probably the best thing about him and really one of the main things that separates him from the rest. But for me personally, and this is a interesting choice, and I will admit maybe a little bit of a biased one, because Luka's animations are not at the level of anybody else in this top 5, and yet I still think he's my favorite point guard in the game right now. The reason for that, to a certain extent, is maybe because he's my favorite card, or he's my favorite player, but also, like, the card is so versatile defensively, able to guard on the interior and the perimeter at a very high level. Even the defensive PGs, Jrue, D'Lo, they're small compared to the wings that they have to guard. Luka can guard LeBron, can guard Paul George, can guard the big, athletic, versatile wings that are in this game right now. Does a lot of things well, and offensively, when you leave him space, he's absolutely cash. He's a good finisher at the rim, and then, I mean, he overpowers a lot of smaller defenders at the rim for sure. Playmaking-wise, also very, very good. Sigs aren't insane, release isn't fast, but yet Luka is still my favorite point guard in the game. He's the guy I have at number 1 at PG. At the 2, starting off with the number 5 spot is going to be Klay Thompson. Really, really great 3-point shooter, obviously very good release. His Evo does give him the ability to slash at a very high level as well, but his biggest flaw is that he's just not that elite of an actual shot creator. LeBron dribble style that he has is good, but I mean, he just isn't insanely fast. 87 speed isn't unbelievable, and then playmaking badges aren't incredible. His overall SIGs aren't that amazing, so it's kind of hard to get to the spot where you can trigger those dunks sometimes, but he's a really good 3-and-D card who does have that slashing ability and a little bit of secondary playmaking. Overall, really good card. Kawhi is who I have at number 4. I have made the switch between Kawhi and Ron Artest. I put Ron Artest at 3 and Kawhi at 4. The reason that I made that switch is a couple of things. I had Kawhi over Ron for a while, but I think Ron Artest release is better. Rudy Gay base is better than Kawhi's jumper. Kawhi's jumper is really, really good, and Kawhi does have a little bit bigger player build, but I think Artest moves as well as Kawhi does, and he's got one other thing Kawhi doesn't have, which is the gold immovable enforcer badge. Kawhi does not have that, and that can be a little bit of a difference maker. Not a huge difference maker, but it's a pretty important badge on the interior, and it's something that does give, I would say, Mr. Artest a little bit of an edge. I like his release a little better as well. Both of these guys are really, really good, really elite locks, but I give the very slight edge to Ron Artest and put him at number 3. I really think you can flip these around however you want, though. Number 2, and I got disagreement about this in my last shooting guards rankings because I put Jimmy at number 2, but I'm standing on it. He is my second favorite shooting guard in the game. The reason that I say that is because his playmaking and his finishing with Hoff Bulldozer is better than what you're going to get out of a Ron Artest or a Kawhi Leonard or a Klay Thompson or a Paul George. All those guys are great slashers, great finishers. Jimmy is also a great slasher, a great finisher, but that Hoff Bulldozer is a really big badge. His playmaking badges are by far the most complete of any of those cards as well, and he is still a really good shooter. Yes, his release is probably not quite as good as either Kawhi or Artests, but I think his playmaking and his versatility, as well as the ability to get every single badge so you can add Anchor, Brick Wall, Limitless, Agent 3, whatever you'd like to the card, is enough to give him a slight edge over Ron Artest and Kawhi and put him as the second best shooting guard. But the best shooting guard in the game, pretty obviously, is Pink Diamond Kobe Bryant. He's the best card in the game right now. Kobe Bean is incredible. One of the fastest and best releases in the game, probably the most complete stats and badges in the entire game right now, and that's as a base card, can get everything upgraded as well. So incredibly complete, incredibly good, an absolutely demonic option at the shooting guard spot. Kobe is the best shooting guard in my team by a pretty significant margin right now. In the effort of not reusing any players, I am putting OG Anunoby at the 5 spot at small forward. I'm not going to reuse any of the guys from the shooting guard position, so I'm going to put OG at number 5. I understand he's only an Amethyst. I think he's a really good card. He's a capable-ish playmaker. Not great, but he's an elite 3-and-D with very, very good defensive ability, super solid all-around defensive stats, good speed, great finisher, really good shooter. I like his release a lot as well. He slashes through him at a pretty high level. Movement-wise, LeBron dribble style at a very good release as well as normal fade as well. John will escape. I mean, there's a lot to like about this OG Anunoby card. Super complete, super good at small forward, very overlooked, I think, because he's not a diamond, but really, really good. One of the best Amethysts in the game. Jason Tatum is number 4 for me. I think Ty had Tatum at number 2 in his small forward rankings yesterday. I disagree. I like Tatum. I don't think he puts the ball on the floor that well. I don't think his player build is that insane. I think defensively he's good, but he doesn't jump off the page at you. He's got an awesome release, but his fade absolutely stinks. And I don't think his playmaking is all that elite either. No anchor, no brick wall. Really good card, no doubt. I don't want to overstate it. He's very complete, very well-rounded, really good release, does defend quite well. I just think there are a few better options at the small forward position. I like Tatum. I don't love him. I would take 42K Rodman over Tatum. If you have Rodman evoed, I think he's better because he's going to play a little better on the interior, a little bigger, a little more versatile, definitely a much better rebounder, much better interior defender. His release is not as good as Tatum's, no doubt about that, but his fade is better. He's a much better interior player. 95 standing dunk, you add a drop stepper on him, he could be a real mismatch against guards because of how physical and big he is on the interior, and I think his release is fine. He will hit his open shots when he is evoed. I mean, I think he's really solid. Half catch and shooting corner, gold limitless, and he's got all the shooting badges he needs. He's really, really such a good card with this evo. I'm very high on Rodman. I think he's better than Tatum. I do have Luol Deng over Rodman, though. The thing that separates Luol from a guy like Tatum and puts him over Rodman for me is he has the great release, but he's also got the defensive ability. Gold anchor, gold brick wall, really great defensive stats, plays defense at an incredibly high level as well with Huff Challenger, clamps, glove, interceptor, post, lockdown, workhorse, all that stuff. Really, really complete, a good card at the small forward position. I mean, he even has a movable enforcer, 94 feet, fast feet, all that stuff, right stick ripper. He's got everything. And he's a really solid finisher as well. I mean, only an 80 driving dunk, but he's got precision dunker and posterizer and fast twitch and bulldozer, which are probably the 4 most important of the finishing badges. Shooting badges are also really good. He's just such a complete and such a good card. This Luol Deng is a little slept on. He should be in pretty much everybody's lineup, in my opinion. And then LeBron is number 1. Obviously, LBJ is still the best small forward in the game, in my opinion. His release is probably the worst part about the card, but everything else is phenomenal. He's a really good playmaker and absolutely incredible slasher. Very, very capable shooter with a solid release for sure, just not insane. Overall, just such a good card at the position, though. And incredible defensively. The ability to every badge is huge, and LeBron's animations are always insane. His size is incredible. He's the biggest of anybody at the small forward position right now that is being used. Really, really good card, and incredibly versatile and incredibly awesome at small forward position. I love LeBron. I think he's an amazing card, and I really enjoy using him. Evan Mobley is number 4 on this list for me at power forward. Sorry, number 5. Evan Mobley is really, really good defensively. He's got half anchor. He's got half clamps. He's got everything you could possibly ask for defensively. And he's got great size, too. His biggest flaw is twofold. Number 1, he's not that great of a ball handler at all. He's not a good playmaker. The playmaking badges are decent, but he doesn't have the ability to burst or anything. And though defensively, he's incredible. Shooting-wise, his release is not great. It's not awful, but it's not great at all, and I think it's bad enough to hold him back. It's combined with that lack of playmaking from being any higher in the top 5. It's a card I'm really high on, but I still think 5th is very fair for him. KG is who I would have at number 4. I like KG a lot, but he's got the same exact flaws as Evan Mobley. Not that incredible of a shooter, not that great of a release, and not a very good shot creator. He is basically just the better version of Evan Mobley, able to get every single badge, slightly better stats and badges even on the base card. He's a better version of Evan Mobley, but they have the exact same flaws, which is a flaw that Anthony Davis simply doesn't have at number 3. AD has one flaw, and it's not having the clamps badge, but the more I play against and use the card, I don't think it's that big of an issue because people don't really attack the power forward off the dribble that much. So players aren't getting that much of a blow by, and he's good enough on the interior, great defensively already. He will recover, especially if you use your defense a little bit and don't just let your player get CPU blown by. And his release is much, much better than both Mobley and KG's. And playmaking wise, he's better than both of them as well. Ball handle, shoot, and Coach Mike D'Antoni will give him the ability to time burst. AD, I think, is just a better card than those two guys. So I think it's totally fair to put him at number 3. Number 2 is Giannis. Doesn't matter which Giannis, Pink Diamond and Diamond. They have differences. The Diamond is slightly better stat and badge wise, but the Pink Diamond is, but the Diamond can get every single badge, so he can become much more complete in terms of his total all-around badges and how high tier they are. So both cards incredible though. Elite slashers and incredible defenders, 7-footers, incredibly versatile, able to guard 1 through 5 at an insanely high level. Both elite level cards at power forward, and they're both, I would say, number 2. Just Giannis in general, doesn't matter which one. I'd put him at number 2. And then number 1 is Chet Holmgren pretty easily. Right now, Chet is just the man at the power forward position, able to do literally everything on the court at a very high level. I think he is the most complete small forward in the game by a pretty significant level, considering you look at the defense and the offense, and he is just insanely complete. The slashing, the shooting, the defense, and even the playmaking. With a ball handle, shoe, and D'Antoni, again, can play make at a pretty high level. I understand he doesn't get every badge, but he doesn't really need it because he has so many incredible badges and such good stats and badges, as well as being 7'1". The best free card they've probably dropped all year, honestly, or at least one of them. He is an incredible free card, especially considering his agenda is just so much easier than some of the other free cards that have been dropped. I think Chet's amazing. He's the best set power forward in the game. And then we move over to the center position, which is where we put Dikembe Mutombo at number 5. Dikembe Mutombo, I mean, he's just a beast, man. He is an interior monster, 7'2", going to rebound incredibly well. His biggest flaw is that he's not that fast and he has no playmaking ability at all, but he's a very solid shooter with his Evo. Finishing obviously is incredible, and on the interior defensively he's amazing. Not a bad perimeter defender at all either. Very, very big. Definitely deserving of a top 5 spot, but I have a couple guys over him that I think a lot of y'all wouldn't. I got a couple comments on my top 10 centers yesterday about how low I had Dikembe. Just my opinion. I like Ewing better than Dikembe. I like the additional speed. I like the fact that he's still a capable shooter. I like the fact that he can put the ball on the floor a lot better than Dikembe can. And I think defensively and finishing wise, he's as good or better than Dikembe is as well. So even though he's not quite as good of a shooter in terms of the stats and the badges, I think overall he is just a better all-around card, and he gets that number 4 spot. Number 3 goes to Hakeem Olajuwon, who is obviously amazing. I think Hakeem is basically just a slightly worse version of number 2, which is David Robinson, who's a slightly better shooter with better stats and badges on the base card. Hakeem can get every badge, but D-Rob is also the better playmaker, and in my opinion, probably has the slightly better release. Both these guys are about the same, though, as a card. Wouldn't really argue with you either way. I just think D-Rob is a bit better, and I think most people would agree with me on that. But number 1 is Wembanyama. Obviously, I think Wemby and D-Rob are actually pretty close, too. The center position as a whole is very close. All 5 of these guys can be used incredibly well at a competitive level, no doubt about it. With that being said, I do think Wemby is my favorite right now, mostly because he's 7'4" and because he stretches the floor so well, because on the interior, he might actually be the worst of any of these 5 guys. I understand he's the biggest, but the low strength does hurt this card in certain areas, but he's also a very impactful defender, moves his feet really well, good enough speed with his size to be really glitchy, and the size itself can just be so glitchy at times. Wemby is still one of the very best cards in the game, despite having a couple of small flaws. So as a whole, this is my top 5 centers. Top 5 PGs includes Luka, D-Book, SGA, LaMelo, and D'Lo. Shooting guards, obviously Kobe, Jimmy, Ron Artest, Kawhi, and Clay. Small forwards, LeBron, Luol, Rodman, Tatum, and OG. And then you got Chet, Giannis, AD, KG, Mobley, Wemby, D-Rob, Hakeem, Ewing, and Mutombo. Pretty good mix, honestly, of some budget cards, some free cards, and a bunch of top-end cards. Nice to see that there are several good budget and free cards, though, among the best cards in the game. So, with that being said, that is going to do it for this video. I hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.